Hi, I'm Dr Charlene. I'm a veterinarian and I help to oversee our native wildlife rescue and rehabilitation efforts here at Mandai. One of the core parts of my job is to assess and provide treatment for the native wildlife that are rescued from all across Singapore as well as from Mandai Wildlife Reserve. We have on average about 1,000 animals that are rescued and brought to us every year. Essentially what we do when these animals come in is very important for us to get a history, to find as much information as we can about where they were rescued from, what the circumstances were. And then we also do a detailed health check to determine the health status, such as, for example, whether they've got any injuries or any other health concerns. And then from there, we formulate a treatment plan and as well as a rehabilitation plan. For us, the ultimate goal is always to release them back into the wild where possible. And very soon, we'll actually have a purpose-built, brand new facility called the Mandai Wildlife Centre. This will be operated by Mandai Nature. And we will actually also have a dedicated team just for our native wildlife, which is really, really exciting for all of us. So some of the animals that we treat are rescued from within the Mandai Wildlife Reserve. And one of them is the Sunda colugo. Shall we see if we can find one tonight? Follow me. So Sunda colugos are native to Singapore and they're a really, really special species. Many people actually don't see them because one, they're nocturnal, and two, they're really, really well camouflaged. So they actually look like little bumps on the trees. They're also generally very, very silent. They're also known as flying lemurs. However, they don't fly, they actually glide instead, and they're not lemurs.
Yeah, it's on there. There's a good chance it'll glide because they don't feed on this tree. Yep, she's gliding.
So one of the common presentations when colugos are rescued is actually they've been stranded, for example, in a construction site, or basically they've been grounded. And what happens when colugos are on the ground is because they live completely in the trees naturally. When they're on the ground, they really would try and find a tree to climb up. And so they would do this on the ground. And what actually happens is that their nails then get really, really blunt on the road surface. And then once their nails become blunt, it becomes worse and worse because then they really can't climb up the trees. And so one of the things that we really had to figure out, especially early on when these colugos first started presenting to us, was how do we treat these nails so that they are able to be returned back into the wild. Over time, we'd worked out a system where basically we help to reshape their nails so that they become hooked and curved again. One of the other really challenging things was also because not much is known about colugos. There's very little husbandry information about them, and we had to basically try and find a way to be able to ward them long enough that we can actually then treat them, for any conditions, or even to wait for the nails to grow out so that we can then reshape their nails later on.
One there, horizontal.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I see it there. I'll change it a bit. Oh, that was the same one.
Yeah. May have moved, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the one that just glided.
Mm.
That was a very big one.
Just hanging out.
Tiny.
Because so little is known about colugos. We don't even know their lifespan, their gestation period and things like that. What we've tried to do here is we've actually tried to identify as many colugo individuals as we can all around our parks. And that way we'll be able to build onto the knowledge of colugo natural history and ecology. And this also applies to animals that come under our care. So we take the opportunity to learn as much as we can about these animals. This might include things like collecting samples such as hair or even cell samples for storage for biobanking, which may then actually allow us to do further research into things like genetics, population health, and so on. We sometimes even collect samples like semen so that in future, if we ever need to do, for example, artificial insemination in species like the Sunda pangolin, which is critically endangered, we actually already have the semen stored in the bank that we will be able to use in future. Well, we're here at the end of our very short night walk tonight. I hope you've learned a little bit about our amazing native wildlife, such as the Sunda colugo, and also a little bit about Mandai Nature's efforts in native wildlife rescue and rehabilitation. The Mandai Wildlife Centre opens later this year, and I hope to see you then when the centre opens. Bye!